Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is Dark episode 2. So I'm convinced that that body that showed up at the end of last episode is Mads Ulrich's brother who was lost all those years ago. I do have this little theory that maybe him and Mikhail have like swapped place somehow. I don't know, maybe there's something there, who knows. I know we probably won't get any answers in this episode, but the big questions so far are, what was in that letter? Who is the guy in the trench coat, in the big coat? I do think that could potentially be Ulrich. And then what happened to Jonas's dad? Of course, has he time traveled? What was the letter about? Will we actually get to see what was in the letter written and the grandmother was reading? Who knows? Hopefully we find that out soon. Or is that going to be some big secret that's the key to everything, right later down the line? Who knows? So before we jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon page. Over there you can find 1 week early access. You can also find polls so you can vote for what's next. And you can find a full-length timer-based version of this where you just sync up your own footage and you can watch along with me. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Back to this power plant. Oh, okay. So the search team looking for him, of course. Oh. Well, here's the hooded figure. Oh, that kind of looks like the guy that I thought might be future Jonas. On that other family tree. Oh, was that? Oh, they do look very similar and it did like match cut there. Or was that supposed to be his dad? He looked like he had some dirt on his face, like the dad had that oil before. Unless this is Jonas time traveling, or was that Jonas seeing a vision of that for some reason? Or is this like a side effect of him having two versions of himself in the same timeline now? If that is a future version of him. Oh, this is just a nightmare, isn't it? Yeah. The oil bleeding from his ear. I want to listen to the lyrics more. Neither ever nor ever goodbye. That's just kind of signifying the time travel. Oh, that was like cutting open a bird there, and we did see that guy with the hood pick up a bird. And that was alluding to the body, who I assume is going to be Mads.
Und beide Trommelfelle sind geplatzt.
Extreme Lautstärke?
Ja. Oder Druck, ausgelöst durch einen Sturzflug.
A nosedive.
Die können sich verirren. Zum Beispiel, wenn der Körper rotiert. Da verlieren wir es gleich.
Yeah, she's just been like thrown through a wormhole kind of thing.
Mikhail?
Oh, we're into this cave. Oh, I do hate caves. Seeing those people who do the real extreme caving, when they're just, it's like they're completely stuck. Oh, yeah, connects right to the facility. I do actually see the resemblance in Magnus as well, between him and Ulrich.
Ich habe euch in der Schule gehört, wie ihr über die Höhlen geredet habt. Und Eriks Drogen. Und da habe ich gedacht.
She just maybe wanted an excuse to get a bit closer to them.
Der 11-Jährige zuletzt in Begleitung seiner Geschwister im Windener Forst nahe des Kernkraftwerks und den Windener Höhlen gesehen.
Yeah, he definitely knows more. He had this big secret.
Ob beide vermissten Fälle zusammenhängen, wollte die Windener Polizei.
Okay, crazy thought. Mikhail would have been put into the past. What if this is actually him, like all of these years later? That's why he's reacting so viscerally. Oh, who's this? Whose jumper is that? But he's just gonna wash away the evidence. Okay, this is Ulrich's mum, right? And dad.
Sollten wir nicht zu den Kindern?
Die haben mehrere Suchtrupps organisiert. Ich muss los.
So Ulrich's dad wasn't Helge.
Aufgewacht gegen Mitternacht, du warst nicht da.
Konnte nicht schlafen.
Oh, he's got this mark on his head as well.
Erst Mats, jetzt Mikkel. Es ist genauso wie damals.
That seemed like an accusation. A little bit, right?
Und Mats war 3 Jahre jünger.
Hat ihn nie gefunden?
Yeah, they already have one child that was never found. Look at that, they're kind of past and present on with the reflection in the window.
Außerdem sieht es so aus, als hätte jemand den Jungen Sachen aus den 80ern gekleidet.
But the condition isn't from the 80s.
Eine rote Kordel mit einem Pfennig aus dem Jahr 1986.
He had the coin as well. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Because that's what they gave Eric. So he was part of this experiment, maybe. Ulrich isn't in this room to hear this. Maybe he could have recognized that.
Mats ist an genau der gleichen Stelle verschwunden, neben dem AKW.
Same spot as well, okay.
Ich beantrage den Durchsuchungsbefehl.
The thing is, the plant probably has so much government power, they can prepare if there's going to be a search.
Die Polizei wird bald hier sein. Die müssen heute noch verschwinden, Jürgen.
Okay. This is Eric's dad as well.
Vielleicht ist es doch besser, wenn es jemand anders macht. Die Sache mit Erik. Die gucken doch jetzt ganz genau hin.
So he has ties to this, perhaps? He actually knows what happened? He was saying, get rid of them. As in, get rid of the kids. I'll go into his dad's studio for clues. Oh, seeing like time travel imagery potentially there. Those loops. And we were seeing some black ink, black paint. Yeah, look at this. That looks like he could have been covering up something underneath as well, painting over it. Hooded figure, evil hooded figure. Yeah, and then hooded figure come out. Okay, something to do with the moon there as well. And that symbol, that is like the main symbol for the show, the logo. The like Venn diagram with the 3 segments. I mean, I think it's pretty much confirmed this guy is a time traveler at least. I think it's Jonas though. Is this a time machine that we're seeing here? Oh, she's just replacing them.
Guilty eyes and I follow.
Yeah, look at that. Blocking Hannah's call and it cuts back to his family. Is he done with this now, the cheating? His family's more important at this point. Oh, there's the whole edgy teen thing, punching a hole through a wall, but like German built houses compared to American built houses, where that stereotype comes from, they're much tougher. Yeah, look at his knuckles. That's probably solid brick. That looks like a map. We did see a map in the opening sequence. Oh, a cave map.
Durch ein schwarzes Loch zu reisen, um zu schauen, was dahinter liegt. Welchen Preis würden wir bezahlen?
Yeah, is the price just your life tumbling through it, and that's what happened to Mads there, but they have perfected it at some point.
Alexander, bitte mach das Tor auf.
Okay, so that is Alexander, he blocks it.
Das ist ein Hochsicherheitstrakt. Meine Leute machen Patrouillengänge, jeden Tag. Wenn Mikkel hier wäre, wir wüssten das.
I mean, I don't think this is a false lead at all. I don't, you know, Alexander, he definitely knows something's up, especially when he was like talking to Eric's dad as well. A phone hidden in with all the drugs? Okay. Oh, only 3 attempts though. Is it on auto delete too if he gets them wrong?
Was machst du hier?
Ich wollte dich sehen.
Yeah, they can't just be seen together so openly. Yeah, it's not reciprocating at all. Oh, I wish I could know what it says. Okay. There's a crossing point, yeah. 1896. Yeah, that's the 33 years ago. Oh, he doesn't have a warrant, is kind of going out of his way here. He could have just climbed through that window, one of those didn't have any glass in. Isn't it you need a warrant to break into somewhere like that? But if there's like an easy way in, you don't? Like if there's a door open, you can just go in. I'm not like 100% sure on that, and this is Germany, of course, the laws might be different. Coins? Oh yeah, and he's heard. He's gonna see the car pulled up obviously as well. Oh. Oh, everyone's got secret compartments everywhere.
Das Fallen, hab ich gesagt. Ulrich!
Okay, he knows who he is. My immediate thought was like, oh, drugs? Okay. Could that have been Eric's? Because it was Eric's drug stash in the cave as well, wasn't it?
Wir haben das zusammen gemacht.
Him and Eric.
Warst du gestern im AKW?
Oh, this gives him a bit of leverage, doesn't it?
Wo ist mein Junge?
But they both kind of have this common interest of finding their son, perhaps. Or at least Ulrich has that connection with him. Maybe Jürgen, there's a bit more to him. Oh! Yeah, that's totally Eric's body. I saw the ginger hair. So Eric's body's gonna turn up and people will see it's got the same burn marks.
Glaubst du, da war was niemand von uns erzählen wollte?
Wie kommst du denn da drauf? Eigentlich weiß ich gar nicht, wer er wirklich war.
Don't know who he really was.
Vielleicht wissen wir das auch nie. Wer irgendjemand wirklich ist.
Oh, that's kind of her guilt from cheating coming through a bit there. Although, was she ever technically cheating, or did that all happen with Ulrich after the death? Is that just sleeping pills, or is that something else? It had the word knocked in it, like nocturnal, so I'm assuming sleeping pills. Did he give them to her to keep her asleep? No, okay. The great Mikkel Houdini. This is the greatest vanishing trick of all time. Does this machine that he have tamper with electricity a bit? Oh, there we're gonna see that as a huge bad omen. It somehow like interfered with the birds and they all died. Or is this Mikkel? When is Mikkel? Yeah, that was always Mikkel's magic trick. Is not how it happened, is when it happened. This is him. This is so a different time period, isn't it? Does he come out in 86? There's like no big signifiers yet. He's just gonna get to civilization and there's like a blockbuster there. Oh, and there's someone else living at his house.
Ich wohne hier.
Ulrich. Und ich wohne.
That's Ulrich.
Ja, Katharina, ich komme ja schon.
Mum and Dad. Yeah, so he was sent back to 86. Does this somehow have ties to Chernobyl as well? Just because nuclear power plants and nuclear power plant Chernobyl, obviously. Okay, so that was Dark episode 2 with a few revelations there. So it seems like Eric's dad is actually in on this somehow. He works for the power plant. I don't know, how much he knows about the whole time travel thing, but his conversation with Alexander there, it seemed like they were saying like, oh, hide things, the police are going to have their warrant, they're going to come searching soon, hide the kids away perhaps. I imagine there is like just some secret door that leads to like an underground facility. They've got all of their regular nuclear stuff that they need, and then they have like their hidden away stuff, or even like the reaction chamber is where all of this secret stuff is happening, because they say, well, you can't go there because that's where the reaction's actually happening or something. So we actually get to see who this hooded figure is this episode, which I wasn't expecting actually. I thought it would be more hidden and it would eventually be revealed to be someone we know, but it is this person who we haven't seen before, but potentially we have. My main theory here is that it is Jonas from the future. In the last episode, like I said, there was this photo that looked kind of like Jonas from the future, and that very much seems like who it is to me. There's like a bit of visual similarity between the two, and there is just like a match cut between them, which it just makes it look like that is him. I did at one point wonder if it was Mikhail as well when he's older, because he got sent back to the 80s, 33 years in the future. He could be just a grown-up. So, I did think maybe it was that hooded figure, or it was the therapist. I feel like there is a good chance he could be someone we already know. I'm not sure if it would be Ulrich. I don't know. You are your own father. That feels a bit weird. I don't know if it would be him. And of course, we saw Ulrich before, didn't we? So that wouldn't work out. When we saw Mikhail back in the 80s, he saw Ulrich. So that wouldn't happen at least. But I do think there is the potential for it to be someone we already know, and there is also the potential for Eric to be someone that we already know, depending on where Eric was sent. And we did see Eric with his eyes burnt out. We saw where he went. We don't know when he went, but we saw him being carried by who I'm assuming is the future Jonas, but we don't really know when in the timeline that scene was taking place. But it does seem like Eric is dead. So if Eric's father is in on this, would he have known that Eric was going to die doing this, participating in this experiment? And it does very much seem like this guy, this hooded figure, is just a time jumping person looking for Mikhail for some reason. Like, why would he be so important to look for him as much as he is? He's got this family tree, this timeline put out on his wall in the hotel. And my main theory is also that he was also the one who was doing the same thing in that bunker that we saw right at the start. And we did see in the opening, there was this girl, it looked like she had blue hair, and she was like standing outside the bunker going into the bunker. The thing is, I don't really know any characters with blue hair at the moment, so I'm not sure who that is. There is still some mystery about Jonas's dad. We did see, Jonas went into his studio. We saw some paintings. I did go back and look at the paintings, but they didn't really seem to give away much. They just seemed to be these abstract things showing kind of like tangled knots of timelines and things. That's what it kind of looked like to me. But it definitely seems like he has time traveled. I'm still not sure obviously the full details of that, because we did see him the last episode, but again, that could have just been like a vision of Jonas just having a nightmare or something. And I did also point out with this hooded figure, it did kind of look like he had something on his face. It didn't look as much as like the oil that Jonas's dad had, but it did look like he had some. The thing is, if this hooded figure is actually Jonas, why would he be going after Mikkel? And then I'm also thinking, wouldn't he want to be going after his own dad? It seems like Jonas at the start here, he's got this mystery of like what happened to my dad, and he's like discovering little pieces. He found that map. And then potentially we're seeing a future version of him that is like further down that rabbit hole, but now is looking for Mikkel for some reason. So Mikkel must like tie into it. There must be some answer that Mikkel has somehow, or like Mikkel, him going back, that gives the answer on how you can time travel and still be alive, because he is the first person we've seen that has actually survived the time travel. That is like confirmed to survive the time travel. There's a few characters where, you know, I think they are time travelers as well. So what was so special about Mikkel, and how did he time travel like that? And he time traveled without any assistance or machinery. It looked like he just walked into the tunnel when he was hiding from before, and then has walked out in a different timeline. So what's going on there? How could he time travel without any equipment, without getting damaged? You know, there must have been some special circumstance that meant that for him, and that could potentially be why future Jonas is looking for him, why this hooded figure is looking for him. And then Mikkel, you know, he went back and he actually got to meet his own dad. He got to meet Ulrich when he was younger, like 18 or however old he is there. And it did make me wonder, like, would there ever be something that would jog Ulrich's memory like that? And he'll be like, wait a second, I met a kid who looked identical to him. Or was that just like such an insignificant event that he can't remember at all? Of course, it's been 33 years since then. I do also have to say, the casting for the different characters, the little bit of what I've seen, the casting for the different characters on the different timelines, they seem to do a really good job. It did look a lot like Ulrich and Katarina, so that was really cool. There were a few things corrected from last time with the family tree. I wasn't quite sure with Helga if it was Ulrich's dad or if it was Charlotte's dad, but we did actually see Ulrich's dad this episode, so I can fix that. So Helga must be Charlotte's dad. And we did get a few more names, like Eric's dad Jürgen and Alexander Bart's dad. And I didn't realize it last episode, but this episode I did. Martha, who is dating Bart, is actually Ulrich's third child. So it's those three siblings. It's Magnus, Mikkel and Martha, the three M's. I didn't realize it was the same person. We did see her with them before. I don't know, I just didn't click that was Martha. It's like the same person. I am surprised that the revelation that the child is from the 80s hasn't come about yet. You know, they said, oh yeah, here's this Walkman. There was like some dirt, and they analyzed the body. Obviously, they found this body, but I'm surprised they didn't look at the Walkman and be like, hey, this is from the 80s. There's only like a few years of damage on this. This should be aged way more than it actually is. Or, you know, there should be something that kind of gives it away. Obviously it's, you know, it's science fiction, it's time travel. That's not going to be on anyone's minds. I'm an audience member who's like looking out for it, but for the characters in there, they don't even know time travel exists. So that isn't really something that's on their mind when they're like analyzing this dead body and this Walkman and things, you know. But I feel like eventually there will be a few clues here and there. You know, people will have to pick up on it eventually. It seems like Jonas might be the first to discover about the time travel because he's looking through his father's things. He found this map that said, where is the crossing? So I'm assuming, you know, it says where is the crossing, and it's got this map of the tunnels. So I'm guessing somewhere through this tunnel is a crossing into 1986, and that's where Mikkel went through. There was also at the power plant with Alexander, we had this scene where they are shipping something. You know, they had this object, this quite a big object that was being lifted into a lorry and probably being taken off site. Maybe some evidence that they wanted to get rid of because they know they are going to get searched eventually. There's going to be a warrant for the search. So I am assuming that is something key here. Maybe the heart of the machine that lets them time travel. I really don't know. You know, is the time travel going to be something more mystical, or is it going to be something more sci-fi where they have a machine to do it, or will it be just like some unnatural, supernatural force? You know, we're still not far enough into the show to really discover that yet. But from the looks of it, from the hooded figure, from he had this like machine, so I'm assuming that was a time machine. That's how he's got to this timeline. It looks like it is like a more mechanical based time travel rather than something that is supernatural. One thing as well is that it was Mads' body had the coin as well, so Mads' body was definitely part of an experiment that's happening in the power plant, just like Eric, because he had the same coin on the necklace as Eric. So that seems to be a signifier of the time travel that's happening. And I didn't get to see the coin as in detail on Eric, but the coin that was on Mads was it said 1986, which is the year he came from. So I'm guessing that is how they signify where these bodies are coming from in the timeline. They put a coin that has the current date on it. So maybe I will go and look and see if you can see the date on the one that is on Eric to see if that is the right date. Because, you know, it might be the case that I'm assuming he is going from 2019 to a different spot, but he could be he could have originated somewhere else, who knows. And there was some symbolism here with Mads' toys. Ulrich's mother going through all of Mads' old toys, and she had, it looked like a little Skeletor, but like a knockoff Skeletor, but it was like an evil hooded figure, right? And then she took it to the grave and swapped it out for another character. So I am, you know, very interested on what that symbolism is here. Is it so it's an evil hooded figure replacing someone good? And if my theory is that well, I'm assuming it's someone good, it was just another figure that without a hood. But if my theory is that it is Jonas, what if this future Jonas is trying to take out the current Jonas and replace him somehow? I feel like the age difference is too much though. You know, you can see there's a physical difference. Like, is this guy trying to replace someone? Is that what that's symbolizing or something? Or there just is replacement happening because we are seeing, you know, these events happening again. Is that what that's symbolizing perhaps? There's a few different interpretations there. We did also see with the hooded figure, whenever he used his machine, it affected the lights around him and it also affected the birds. And the first scene we see him when he appears, he picks up a dead bird off the ground. So I'm guessing that's him coming into this timeline. And then what is he doing in his hotel room? Is he going to another point on the timeline and that's where he got Eric's body when we see him dragging it through the forest? Or is there something else going on? But I am going to keep my eye out for flickering lights and dead birds now, because that is a symbol that maybe someone is time traveling or has recently time traveled. You know, if someone shows up somewhere and there's a dead bird on the ground, oh, someone's just come in or someone's just left from this point in time perhaps. So I think that's something to keep my eyes out for. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment. If you're commenting, be sure to avoid spoilers as much as you can. Even if you think you're, you know, being smart and cryptic, you know, don't leave clues that someone could potentially figure out. I do have a moderator for this series who is going over the comments and deleting any that spoil anything. But also, you know, if I'm making mistakes in character relations and things, don't correct me. I want to figure it out on my own terms, you know? So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.